hearing Introduction to SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM, we heard Mahaprabhu went to South India and there he got two books. One is Brahma Samhita, another is Krishna Karnamrita by Bilva Mangal Thakur, and these two valuable books are authorized studies for the person in the devotional line. The Lord then returned to Puri after his South Indian tour. On his return to Puri, all the anxious devotees of the Lord got back their life, and the Lord remained there with continued pastimes of his transcendental realizations. We heard that Harinam Eva Kevalam and all. So why Mahaprabhu did not only chant Harinam, but also he got these books and brought and hearing Bhagavatam? Because this will help in our proper chanting of Harinam. And Jiva Goswami also told in Bhakti Sandarbha that one may do other devotional forms in Kali Yuga, but together with Nama Sankirtan. That is why you will see before Harikatha there is Nama Sankirtan, and after also. And during Arati there is Nama Sankirtan. During Prasad also we are singing that. So it should be with Harinam. But if one is already on transcendental platform and he's getting eternal taste for service of Krishna and he's not ordered to preach, then he can remain in secluded place and he will only chant and remember all the Leelas inside. But those who have some preaching work also to do, they will write, they will explain the scriptures, because for those who are not on that platform, that is helpful. Like for example, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur, he was already chanting 3 lakhs daily in secluded place and with great austerity and not with difficulty. That was his life, and he was chanting with great taste and also remembering all Leela. Then when he was ordered to preach, then he started. So if we are not on that platform, for us it is necessary to engage in the service of deity, to offer all the articles for his service for which we are attached in this world. Offering, we have to know about Siddhanta and all this. So these things are there for us. So they do this to help us and they are example. But it is not necessary for all. Like you see Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj also was only chanting, and Bangshi Das Babaji like this. Sometimes they would hear Bhagavatam from a realized soul like this. And Raghunath Das Goswami also, he was speaking about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he personally witnessed all those pastimes. And then later Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami wrote, and we can hear about those pastimes. The most important incident during that time was his granting audience to King Prataparudra. King Prataparudra was a great devotee of the Lord, and he considered himself to be one of the servants of the Lord entrusted with sweeping the temple. This submissive attitude of the king was very much appreciated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The king requested both Bhattacharya and Rai, means Rai Ramananda, to arrange his meeting with the Lord. When, however, the Lord was petitioned by his two stalwart devotees, he flatly refused to grant the request, even though it was put forward by personal associates like Ramananda Rai and Sarvam Bhattacharya. The Lord maintained that it is dangerous for a sannyasi to be in intimate touch with worldly, money-conscious men and with women. The Lord was an ideal sannyasi. Sannyasi means one who is doing nyas, that is renouncing, and san means completely renouncing. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu played the pastime of sannyasi, that is the highest ashram in Vedic, and there are many rules for behavior of sannyasi to help him advance in spiritual progress, and that other peoples they get example and like this. So Mahaprabhu did not play the pastime of being like a Paramahamsa who have nothing to do with this world, and they may sometimes do something like Shukadev Goswami like this, naked, going naked. So, but Mahaprabhu was playing the pastime of ideal character, one who is exemplary devotee of Krishna for that platform. But inside his room, sometimes he would do some things which we cannot understand. But outside, he was like a sannyasi, so he wanted to teach ordinary people, although there is no problem for him, he is Supreme Lord, and also like a pure devotee, so there is no problem. But other people will not understand, and they will think this is not proper behavior for a sannyasi, to associate with those who are interested only in money and in woman sense gratification, which kings are. So these two types of persons should not associate. Then sannyasi cannot get his goal. So for this reason he was teaching like this, although he knew that king is a devotee, but for other people. Like one time in one university in Kashmir, in Jammu, our Gurudev was invited to speak Harikatha in one university. Then all were hearing, Dean also and his daughter and other devotees and those students, all they were hearing. Then after Gurudev, after Harikatha, he was going towards his room, where his room was. So many devotees and also those who came to hear, they were touching the feet of Gurudev. As is like general in India, when some sadhu, great sadhu is coming, they will touch. Then the daughter of Dean also wanted to touch, but Gurudev removed the feet, did not allow. Then she was a bit like insulted. She had some pride also because she was daughter of Dean. So again she tried, but Gurudev would not allow. So then when they were in the room and with the organizers, with Dean and others, and she was also there, so when they were in private in the room, then she directly asked Gurudev, why you did not allow I should touch your feet? Other males they could touch, but you did not allow. Then Gurudev said, if you touch my feet, there will be no problem for me. But you see, these brahmacharis, they are with me. They are not on that level. So if I will allow this, then they will also think, oh, Gurudev is allowing, so we can also allow this. When we'll go, ladies will touch us. But that will not be beneficial for them. They will fall down. They will get that desire. Because conditioned souls, they have that desire. And also if you touch feet, it is like taking shelter, and some sins are transferred like this. So for the sake of others, and for the sake of his followers who are not on that level, Gurudev was doing this, like Mahaprabhu was doing, and it was actually proved. One brahmachari of that group who were there, later he was having some illicit relation with one lady. So those who are sannyasis, means they are gurus of society, or those who are acharyas of some mat like this, they have to be very careful in their behavior. They have to consider many things about their example and about the adhikar and everything. That is their service. Like that, Mahaprabhu was also doing this. But if someone is like Shukadev Goswami or Banshidas Babaji or Gorkishore Das Babaji, they are not as teachers of society. They are just immersed in their Raganuga practice, pure on transcendental platform. They are like Avadhut or Paramahamsa, nothing to do with this world. So they may do, but those who have got this order to preach, they have to be very careful. That is why Mahaprabhu refused king. No woman could approach the Lord even to offer respects, means near. From far they did. That does not mean that they are deprived. As I told yesterday, all can get the service of Supreme Lord according to their adhikar, and if one does service, then there is no problem. He will get everything. But if someone has some other desires, then he will think it is discriminatory. But if one would actually engage in the service of Krishna, he is getting everything. So how he can think I am deprived of anything? Because already he is getting absolute bliss. But if other desires are then pride, why I cannot do, why this is discriminatory. That is due to false pride. If one really actually wants the service of Supreme Lord and Guru, he can get according to his adhikar, and through that service he will fully satisfy them and he will be fully satisfied. He can never complain. There is nothing to complain. They are fully fulfilled. Women's seats were accommodated far away from the Lord. As an ideal teacher and acharya, he was very strict in the routine work of a sannyasi. Apart from being a divine incarnation, the Lord was an ideal character as a human being. His behavior with other persons was also above suspicion. That is also the reason why Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur took sannyas. As you know, before him, there was no sannyas in Gauriya Vaishnavism. After Rupa Sanatan, all they were like Babaji, staying in Dham, doing worship, and like Narottam Thakur and others, they would preach as a brahmacharis, or some would preach as a householders like Srinivasacharya. But there was no Tridanda sannyas before. So then some circumstance came that this Babaji order became very much polluted by unscrupulous persons. They were taking Babaji for the sake of other purposes, to avoid some responsibility, or for getting respect, or for this or some other. So generally people, they had no faith in these Babajis. They are immoral character, they are having illicit sex connection, so that was lost. Even the teaching of Mahaprabhu, people did not accept seeing them. So Prabhupada saw this and he intentionally took sannyas, not Babaji, for two reasons. One is that he will act like this and he can be checked by the Shastra. In Shastra it is clearly written how a sannyasi should act. Everyone can check. For Babajis, for Paramahansas, they will say no, they are beyond all regular nothing, so you cannot judge them. But the point is they were doing really wrong activities on the pretext that you cannot judge them. So that was going on. So Prabhupada took sannyas and was ideal sannyasi, so that people again got faith in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching. And also Prabhupada said, only in order to show the transcendental character of my Gurudev, Gorkishore Das Babaji, because not all Babajis were like doing some improper activities, not all, but many, and general opinion was like that. But Gorkishore Das Babaji was pure, Jagannath Das Babaji and Totaram Das Babaji, Bankshi Das Babaji and many others, Madhusudan Das Babaji, like that. They were pure, but many were also. So in order to show the transcendental care, because if a disciple of a Babaji is ideal like him, Bhaktisena Saraswati Thakur, he's a disciple of Babaji, and he's a perfect character. So what we can think about then his Gurudev in that platform as a Babaji, so that people will not misunderstand that, not that all Babajis are like that. In his doing, in his dealing as Acharya, Acharya means one who is teaching by example, not by speaking to others, only ordering. No, he's himself practicing everything, even if he does not speak. But the main point is he himself has to practice. That will inspire others in proper way. He may speak also order, but he should not instruct anything which he himself is not following. It is not that saying here is not applicable. Don't follow me, follow my lecture. That is not here. Like for ordinary worldly knowledge, for mathematics or for some language or something, that teacher may not have ideal character. He may smoke, he may do nonsense, but that knowledge he can give. But for spiritual knowledge, and also before there were Gurukulas, the Guru Acharya has to be ideal character, because the boys, they will see his character, and it was not only that they would get material, this knowledge, they would also get spiritual knowledge, and along with that, the morality is also there. So if he himself is not moral character, ideal character, he cannot teach the boys. So that is different. That is why Acharya, one has to approach Acharya, one who is himself practicing. You will find description in, I think, one Upanishad or some Purana maybe, that one who totally accepts all the teaching of Shastra himself, means he's practicing Shastra, and teaching others, he is called Acharya. By his example, he is teaching. So in his dealing as Acharya, Mahaprabhu was harder than the thunderbolt and softer than the rose, according to necessity. As we'll see, one of his associates, Junior Haridas, committed a great mistake by lustfully glancing at a young woman. He was Babaji, renounced. order, but this happened. The Lord as Super Soul could detect this lust in the mind of Junior Haridas, who was at once banished from the Lord's association and was never accepted again, even though the Lord was implored to excuse Haridas for the mistake. That is why, as I said before, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and before it was meant like that, and it was also possible, that first one has to do worship of Krishna remaining in household life, and only when through this worship he will come to subdue all anarthas and those 6 urges we are hearing, mind, tongue, genitals, belly, anger, all this. When he control that by the power of devotion, then he is eligible to become ascetic, means a renounced person, not before that. So at that time they were doing like this. But later, when the Kali Yuga influence came to India by foreign influence, foreign civilization, means British and Muslims and others, then it was difficult to do bhajan in the house like before. Before, our Gurudev said, every house in India, it was a mat. They would daily, in the evening, they would gather family members and the neighbors like this, they would hear Ramayana, Mahabharata daily. And under Tulsi tree, they would do Sankirtan. Gurudev said, I experienced this when I was very young. It was common. It was every house, there was some worship going on, either Shalagram or even demigods or anything. But some worship was going on and people, they were following something. But then this television came and cinema and foreign this influence, then gradually that became lost. They would see television or not doing so. There was no necessity of mats before. So this process was okay. First you remain in house, you do bhajan, and if you come to that platform, then you can renounce or stay as a householder pure, both possible. But then it was very difficult to perform bhajan in house and other family members if they are opposing. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur made one arrangement which is in between disturbed household life and total renunciation as a Paramahansa Babaji's in Vrindavan. That is on transcendent pure platform. So many, they wanted to jump to that for other purposes or something. So there was a necessity of this. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur started this mat system where devotees, they will stay together, those who want to worship Krishna, and though they may not have all control over their senses fully, but they are interested to serve Krishna, so they are admitted and they will be engaged properly in the work for Krishna. They will not just sit and chant like Goswamis. No, there is much work for the deity, for collection, for preaching, for all these things. So their energy is engaged for the service of Krishna. That is necessary. Not all can do like Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, sit and chant 3 lakhs daily nam with great bliss. Not all. So he had to do this for us, for conditioned souls, how we can gradually progress. So he also made this system of brahmachari and sannyasi. He has to be regulated according to Shastra. Deva Varnashram Dharma. Paramahansa is beyond. but sannyasi is within, and brahmachari also, so you have to follow, and then they will come to pure platform. So here we see that even at that time, this example was there. Although Junior Haridas, he's a personal associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's also participating in Krishna Lila. But through him, Mahaprabhu wanted to teach that he does not like that people will prematurely or by some deception, some cheating, for some other purposes, they will take renounced order. Because those who are renounced order, they are to be engaged for the service of Krishna completely, and Shastra then says that those who are renounced order, they may beg from people for their livelihood because their necessities of life are so much reduced, they don't need much, clothes don't need much, and they may beg from people, and those people will be benefited by serving a real renunciate. That is why in India, sannyasi, everyone will respect and they will offer something. They have this in culture because they know it is for our benefit. But provided that that sannyasi is really sannyasi, or that Babaji is really Babaji, he is all the time engaged in the service of Krishna. Otherwise, this money will be misused. If they are not really on that platform fully engaged, and on the pretext that they are renounced, they will not work and they will beg, and people will think, yes, we have to give for service, it will be, our energy will be properly spent, then this will be disturbed, the whole system. It will not be as it was meant by Supreme Lord. How society should run in cooperation, so that everyone gets uplifted. So if those who are renunciates, they are cheaters, also others will lose giving them. And also sometimes people, they understood they are cheaters, so then householders, they would think everyone is a cheater. They would not give to anyone, so then they would accumulate everything themselves and they would enjoy. So all disturbance is coming. So in order to give this teaching that prematurely or deceptively one should not pose as a renunciate, this pastime was there, that Mahaprabhu rejected him. He said, I cannot see the face of a renunciate who intimately speaks with a woman. That my mind cannot accept this. And other devotees, they would request Mahaprabhu. This is also to teach Lila. They said a small mistake he did, you please forgive like this. But Mahaprabhu wanted to teach that this is a serious matter. And he told that otherwise everything will be ruined, and it was also in Kali Yuga. It was ruined. So Prabhupada had to take sannyas and have ideal character. But unfortunately, as we see, even sannyasis, there is this improper behavior. So also I got one message some days back from one devotee that Srila Sai Maharaj was also disappointed that why they are taking sannyas, they are requesting and they are taking sannyas, and then they are with ladies. And he said, I will not give any more sannyas because this is going on. So better they should remain as householders, be proper gentlemen, and they can preach from household life. Why this show of sannyas? And those who were sannyasis and they fell down, they also should get married and go on with service of Krishna. He said in 1977, it is recorded, he was disappointed. So even for sannyas, what to speak of Babaji, it is not easy to follow and it should not be misused. So he did not approve of this and like this. So there are some ideal household devotees who are keeping the dignity of their gurus as sannyasis. Like Prabhupada, he was ideal sannyasi, so that everyone could understand then what about his guru, Babaji, how he is. Like that, there are some ideal household devotees who are proving the dignity of proper sannyasi guru. But of course, household, that is also ashram. It is not you do whatever you like. There are regulations for household also, for the service of Krishna, and there may be deviations in that also. So the ashram will not protect you or will not on the pretext that you can do whatever you like. You have to engage yourself in the service of Krishna sincerely, then it will be okay. But if there is some deviations, what to do? We have to learn by mistakes and try to rectify, correct. Junior Haridas afterwards committed suicide due to being disassociated from the company of the Lord, and the news of suicide was duly related to the Lord. Even at that time, the Lord was not forgetful of the offense, and he said that Haridas had rightly met with the proper punishment. We read this in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He regretted, and he, consulting with the Shastra, there is one atonement like this, only in Prayag, where the three rivers are, there is confluence. It is according to Shastra, if someone committed some mistake and he has to do atonement, then he can give up his body there. That will not be suicide in the sense of tamoguna. Suicide is tamoguna when someone is unable to tolerate the suffering of life and he thinks, if I finish this life, then I will be freed from this suffering. That is in ignorance, that is in tamogun, and that is sinful, and one will increase his problem if he commits suicide. Because then he will have to remain as a ghost for so many years, as he would have life in that gross body, but in that ghost body he will have to suffer much more, because desires cannot be fulfilled. They are there, but you want to eat, but you cannot eat. You want to drink, but you cannot drink, because there is no gross body. That is why sometimes ghosts, they will enter into some, they will take over some gross, some body of some living entities. Those who are weak in their subtle body, they can enter there and they will try to enjoy through that person, because they are suffering so much. So our Gurudev told that suicide is not a solution, this tamogun. We have to tolerate the fruits of our own actions. We should not blame others, and also we should accept. And also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told to Subudhi Rai, when Brahmins also, they gave some suggestions how he can be purified, because he was forcefully converted, means polluted, like to be a Muslim. by that Muslim. So he thought how I can be purified. Then Brahmins, they also suggested different kinds of how he can give up the body according to Shastra. But when he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then Mahaprabhu said, no need these atonements. You can chant Harinam. By Nama Bhas, you will be rescued from all sinful activities and get mukti. And by pure name, you will get Krishna Prem. So you do Harinam. This is the proper atonement. And he became pure devotee, this Subudhi Rai, very nice character. He was very high position. He was emperor before. But after he would chant whole day and night Harinam, and for the maintenance, he would collect the dry wood in the forest and he would sell that wood for those who would need. And though he was having very little money, but whenever any Vaishnav came to Vrindavan from Bengal or Orissa, they were coming, he would serve them. Even he had nothing, but he would serve. So this is real devotee. Chanting Harinam and serving Vaishnavas and doing honest work. That is the ideal character. So here, one is suicide by Tamoguna. But what Junior Haridas Thakur did was not due to Tamoguna. That is one kind of Shastric prescription for a renunciative. Then, if he gives up, so Mahaprabhu would not accept him for a long time. Then after, when he gave up body there in Prayag willingly, then at that time Mahaprabhu said in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we heard, where is Haridas, Junior Haridas? That is not the elder Haridas Thakur, Junior. Then they said, Mahaprabhu said, now you can call him back, he can come. Then the devotee said, no, already he gave up his life. Then Mahaprabhu said, oh yes, that is right, atonement. And what happened? In his spiritual body, in his Siddha Deha, Haridas Thakur came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and was singing for him, Kirtan, as was his service during life. And sometimes some devotees, they could hear also that. And they thought maybe he became ghost. Then Sarup Damodar said, no, he did not become ghost because he was a devotee and he did this as a rectification. So it was a proof that Mahaprabhu again accepted his service after rectification, and really he was repenting. He was not arguing against, but Mahaprabhu anyway wanted to give this teaching that renunciates should not have such desires and such behavior with ladies. Then they are polluting the society's order. But it is meant for all, for sannyasis, for householders, for everyone has to follow. Otherwise, everyone there making wrong to society. So in that Siddha Deha, he was singing. And I heard there was one sannyasi of Srila Sai Maharaj. He was first married and then later he took sannyas and was serving. But one time he met with his former wife and he spoke something. Then he was also regretting, I should not do this. So he went to Srila Sai Maharaj and said, what is the proper atonement if sannyasi is speaking with some lady or former wife like this? He did not say I, but he said, if someone does this, then Sai Maharaj gave this example, that he has to give up his body as Junior Haridas. But this was first side of the sentence. The second one was, but it is not necessary for you, because Sai Maharaj already, you only can do Harinam, but he did not hear this. So anyway, he committed suicide. but I think not in Prayag. So what happened depends on Krishna, because really he was repentant and sincere. But Sai Maharaj also said that you have to chant with great repentance continuously like this. And also, as I told in 77, he told they should be married. They should continue doing bhajan in household life, not to make a show of sannyasis, and I will not give any more sannyasis, nothing. Because it is farce, it is only show bottle. So he refused this. Our Gurudev also in later, he also refused to give any sannyas. Some difficulty were there. So this we have to be careful. And or someone, if he's a sannyasi, he may also rectify and remain as a sannyasi. I know one example. He was a sannyasi, but by some circumstance, he was with one lady, and then he regretted and everything. Then he was thinking either now to get married or to what to do now. Then he prayed to his Gurudev. His Gurudev already disappeared, but he was sincerely praying to him. Then he got that indication that I trained you whole life to be a sannyasi. So you do a tournament. So that sannyasi then decided he will not get married, but he did a tournament, means no preaching and only eating once in a day, very simple, and whole day chanting with regret. And after 1 year or so, he felt that now his Gurudev forgave him, and then he again continued with that service. So it is also possible. Every mistake can be rectified if we admit and regret and follow the guidelines of pure devotee, how we can rectify. On the principles of the renounced order of life and discipline, the Lord knew no compromise, and therefore, even though he knew that the king was a great devotee, he refused to see the king only because the king was a dollar and cent man. Means money, because that is what kings do. They always want to accumulate more and more land, more money, more women, all this. That is the king, ordinary king. But he was a devotee king, but still outwardly he is a king. So other people will misunderstand. Mahaprabhu, if he would. By this example, the Lord wanted to emphasize the proper behavior for a transcendentalist. A transcendentalist has nothing to do with woman and money. He must always refrain from such intimate relations. The king was, however, favored by the Lord by the expert arrangement of the devotees. This means that the beloved devotee of the Lord can favor a neophyte more liberally than the Lord. He engaged some devotees to bless king, and he sent his coping, we heard in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And another that example is, this principle is there. When Mahaprabhu was in South India, Nityananda Prabhu gave him one servant for service, for carrying water pot and for washing cloth and this. So that his servant was taken by Bhattacharys, some tantrics. And they, by mantra, they somehow controlled him, and they also engaged him with some ladies there. Then Mahaprabhu came to know, and he came there, and he said, I am a sannyasi. You are also sannyasis, the tantrics. Why you are taking away my servant? You give. But they became angry because that is tamagun. So they start to attack with weapons also. But everything turned around, and they were cut and killed like this. Then they ran away. Then Mahaprabhu accepted that servant. But when he came back to Puri, then he said, now I cannot remain with him anymore. So, but he said to Nityananda, you give him some engagement. So Nityananda Prabhu gave him engagement to be further engaged in the service. And similar example happened in South India when Srila Bhakti Rakshidhar Dev Goswami Maharaj and our Parangurudev that time Brahmachari, Hayagriv Brahmachari, and some others, they were from Madras Gauriya Math, they were in some preaching program someplace in one Dharamshala. And some local people, they were organizing, programs were going on, but one day in that Dharamshala, one Brahmachari was caught with one lady. And the locals, they became very angry, and what is this? And there was a big disturbance. And it was like 10 p.m. So they came to the room where Sridhar Maharaj was staying. He was already sannyasi, he was the leader, but he was having some fever and was lying down. So then Parangurudev met that person. He was angry and he said, this happened. Then he said, oh really? Yes. But the point is, now our sannyasi, he's not feeling well, he's taking rest. So you don't worry, I will tell him everything tomorrow. So you please be calm, and we will see this tomorrow immediately because he's taking rest. Yes, so then that person became pacified and he went. Then they called that brahmachari immediately, and Sridhar Maharaj was actually awake but lying down. So then they decided that they will send him back to the mat there, night train, 1 a.m. So he had to leave. Then in the morning, Parangurudev said to those people that actually we rebuked that brahmachari and we sent him away. He's not with us. So you don't worry, everything is fine. So then they were pacified. When that brahmachari came back to the mat, then Srila Bhakti Pradip Tirtha Goswami Maharaj chastised him very much and he threw him out from the mat. But that boy was actually sincere, simple-hearted. So he was regretting and everything. So he still remained in Madras and he got some job near mat. And he was regretting, and he would sometimes come to the mat and pray for forgiveness and like this. So when Sridhar Maharaj and Parangurudev, they came back, they came to know, and he was requesting them, you please forgive me. Then they said, what we can do? Now Prabhupada will come here, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we will present your case to him. Then what he will guide, then that we will do. So Prabhupada came and that case was presented to him. Then Prabhupada said, okay, I cannot accept him. Like Mahaprabhu would not accept that Krishnadas, servant. But he ordered Nityananda Prabhu to give him some engagement. Like that, I cannot accept him, but you give him some engagement. So then he could come back and he was reinstated in service. So like that here it was shown that this means that the beloved devotee of the Lord can favor a neophyte more liberally than the Lord. More liberally. Pure devotees, therefore, never commit an offense at the feet of another pure devotee. An offense at the lotus feet of the Lord is sometimes excused by the merciful Lord, but an offense at the feet of a devotee is very dangerous for one who actually wants to make progress in devotional service. It is said, if Krishna becomes angry, then Guru can save you. But if Guru becomes angry with you, then Krishna will not save you. You will have to rectify with Guru. You will have to regret and take guidance how to rectify. So here, Mahaprabhu did not want to directly meet with the king, but he blessed him through some other devotees, as we heard in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And later on, as we'll hear, as long as the Lord remained at Puri, thousands of his devotees used to come to see him during the Ratha Yatra car festival of Lord Jagannath. And during the car festival, the washing of the Gundicha temple under the direct supervision of the Lord was an important function. Here it is not mentioned that during the time of Ratha Yatra, because this topic is there, then Mahaprabhu, when he entered that garden and was very tired due to so much kirtan, and even during kirtan, he showed to Maharaj Prataparudra that divine vision. He could see Mahaprabhu is dancing in all the groups simultaneously by expansion. And each group thought he's only with us. That is not sectarian, but they experience like that. But he was in every group. So one thing is sectarianism, one is divine like that. So then they said, Mahaprabhu is very tired, so you don't go as a king. You go as some ordinary Vaishnav, poor Vaishnav with dhoti and that chadar, and you submit and you do some service. So king gave up all royal dress, everything, and very humbly he approached Mahaprabhu in forest. He was very tired, his eyes were closed, so he would massage his feet. And also he spoke Harikatha from Bhagavatam, and Mahaprabhu became very pleased with him and he embraced him, like as if he does not know that that is a king. Because outwardly he had to play such pastime to teach as a sannyasi. Because others they will think he's a sannyasi, why he's associating with the king? They don't know the king is a devotee. Like in Ramachandra, one day, maybe Lakshman or some messenger said that one wife and husband, they were quarreling. Ramachandra asked how everything is going on in kingdom. He's king, he's taking care. So that messenger said, today I saw one wife and husband, they are quarreling because she was outside the house something with someone or something. Then that husband said, I will not accept you. I am not like Ramachandra, henpecked. He accepted the Sita. So when this came, then Ramachandra, because he was a king, he had to banish Sita. Because such opinion, they misunderstood. Because Sita was in Ravan's place for 1 year, demon. She was chaste and already tested and everything. But this person said, I'm not like Ramachandra, that he is accepting Sita again. I will not accept you. So due to this, Ramachandra had to banish Sita in the forest. Again, she proved there in the forest that she is chaste. So kings and sannyasis, they have difficult job because they have to work for the welfare of all, and even if they have false misunderstanding, they also have to consider that. So Mahaprabhu did not meet king openly. No. They will not understand that he's a devotee. They will criticize a sannyasi. Why he's doing this? So he had to consider all these things. To be a acharya is not so easy. Like in Shastra, there is no mention about tomato because there is no tomato. But Bengalis, they said it is foreign begun. So they started to follow for Chaturmasya also, eggplant, foreign eggplant. So our Gurudev said, although we don't accept that is prohibited, tomato as foreign eggplant, but because others they will criticize, Gauriya Mat is not following Chaturmasya Vrata. For that reason we are not taking. It will be very bad for them. So they have to consider so many things for the sake of welfare of all. So tomorrow we'll hear further.